Everyone thought the wolf was already dead when they saw his body lying still on the frozen ground, but what no one expected was the small gray-haired woman kneeling beside him, whispering his name as if he were her child. And when she began lifting his massive 120-pound body onto her back, the mountain itself seemed to hold its breath before this story continues. Take 1 second to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us, because what this mother did next shocked everyone who witnessed. The wolf had been born during the first snowfall of a brutal winter high in the northern mountains, and from the moment he opened his eyes, he knew only two things: the cold and his mother. The pack had named him Ash for the color of his fur, and for years he had been the strongest, fastest hunter among them. He grew large and powerful, his muscles thick, his chest wide, and his weight eventually reached 120 pounds, making him a force even other predators avoided. But time does not spare wolves, and it does not spare humans either. The woman who now stood beside him was not his mother by blood, but she had been there the night he was born. She had lived on the edge of the forest for decades in a small wooden cabin. After losing her husband and her only son, the mountains became her refuge and the wolves became her silent neighbors. She was 58 years old now, her back bent, her hands rough from years of labor and solitude. She had first found Ash as a newborn pup trapped beneath a fallen branch. His biological mother had circled helplessly, unable to move the weight. The woman had stepped forward without fear, lifting the branch and returning the pup. The pack never forgot that act, and neither did Ash. Over the years, an unspoken bond formed. The wolves never approached her cabin, but they watched from the trees. Ash especially would sit at a distance, his golden eyes fixed on her as if guarding her existence. Seasons passed, and Ash grew into the alpha of his pack while the woman grew older, slower, quieter. Then one winter everything changed. Was injured during a hunt when a moose kicked him in the chest and sent him crashing into the rocks. The damage was severe, his lungs filled with blood and each breath burned like fire. The pack tried to help, nudging him, bringing him food, but he could no longer stand. Wolves know when one of their own is dying, and they know when to leave. One by one, the pack disappeared into the trees, leaving Ash alone on the mountain ledge as the snow fell heavier. Each hour that was when the woman found him, she had gone out to gather firewood. Sensing something wrong, an instinct she could not explain, as she climbed higher, she saw the dark shape against the white snow and recognized him immediately. As she was barely conscious, his breath shallow, his massive body already stiffening from the cold. Anyone else would have turned away. Wolves are dangerous wild animals, and this one weighed more than most men, but she did not hesitate. She knelt beside him, pressed her forehead to his fur, and whispered softly, "A.M. here." The nearest wildlife rescue was far below the mountain, and there was no vehicle that could reach this height. Even if help came, Ash would not survive the night. There was only one place warmer than this mountain, the old cabin with its fire and shelter. But it was miles away, downhill through snow, ice, and sharp terrain, and Ash could not walk. The woman looked at the sky, then at the wolf, and made a decision that defied reason. She wrapped her arms around his neck, braced her legs, and slowly, painfully lifted his 120-pound body onto her back. Her knees buckled, her lungs screamed, but she steps sent pain through her spine. Her boots slipped, her breath came in ragged gasps. Ash stirred weakly, sensing movement, but unable to help. The mountain did not care about her determination. The wind cut through her coat, the snow deepened, and the path grew steeper. Several times she fell forward, landing hard with the wolf crushing down on her. Each time she lay still for a moment, wondering if this was where she would die, but then she remembered the night she saved him as a pup and the years he watched over a cabin, keeping other predators away. She stood again as past the daylight faded. The cold grew cruel. Halfway down the mountain, her legs began to fail, her vision blurred, and her hands went numb. She knew if she stopped for too long, she would not get back. Apash whimpered softly, a sound few humans ever hear from a wolf. That broke her heart and fueled her will. She spoke to him the entire way, telling him stories about her son, about the mountain, about how he was not allowed to die here, not after surviving everything else. At one point, she slipped near a cliff edge and both nearly fell into darkness. She managed to twist her body at the last second, slamming her shoulder into rock, pain exploding through her arms. She screamed, but did not let go when she finally saw the faint outline of her cabin below. She collapsed to her knees, sobbing from relief and exhaustion, but the worst was not over. A storm rolled in suddenly, faster than expected. The wind howled, snow blinded her, and the temperature dropped even further. She was less than a mile away. Her legs refused to move. Ash stopped breathing for several long, terrifying seconds. She pressed her ear to his chest, praying, begging, screaming at him to stay. Then his chest rose. Again, weak but alive, she forced herself up one final time, dragging him inch by inch through the snow toward the cabin end. Just as the cabin lights came into view, her body finally gave out. She fell forward unconscious with the dying wolf still on her back as the storm swallowed them both. The wolf was known as Ash, the strongest of his pack, weighing 120 pounds with scarred legs and golden eyes. He ruled the mountain for years until one winter hunt went wrong. A moose struck him hard, crushing his chest and leaving him unable to breathe. Knowing death is close, and the pack slowly disappeared into the trees, leaving Ash alone on the ledge as snow fell thicker each hour. That was when she found him. Shivas, 58 years old, living alone near the forest after losing her family long ago. Years earlier, she had saved Ashe as a newborn pup trapped under a fallen branch, and from that moment, a silent bond formed when she saw him lying there barely breathing. She did not see a wild animal. She saw Famida. Nearest help was impossible to reach, and Ash could not walk. There was only one chance: her cabin below the mountain. With warmth and fire, without thinking, she lifted his 120-pound body onto her back. Her knees shook, her breath burned, and the cold cut through her bones, but she moved. Step by step down the mountain, slipping, falling, standing again more. Then once she collapsed into the snow with his weight crushing her each time she rested only long enough to breathe before forcing herself back. As darkness came, her legs began to fail. The storm rolled in fast, and the wind screamed around them. Halfway down she slipped near a cliff, barely saving them both. Her shoulders slammed into stone, but she did not let go, and she finally saw the faint shape of her cabin. Below, hope flooded her veins, but her body was done. Ash stopped breathing for long, terrifying seconds, and she begged him to stay, pressing her ear to his chest. He breathed again weakly. She took one last step, and then she collapsed unconscious in the snow, with the dying wolf still on her back as the storm closed in. She woke to the sound of distant voices and the faint smell of smoke. Her eyes blinked open to see the cabin doors swinging in the storm and two men dragging her inside. She was still on her back, barely conscious. She felt his warmth against her shoulder, and tears welled in her eyes. They set him down near the fire, and she collapsed to the floor, shivering. Exhausted and relieved, the men recognized her from the village and murmured in awe that no one should have survived. Carrying such a massive wolf through the storm, she did not answer them. She only focused on Ash, whispering softly, urging him to hold. An hours passed. The storm raged outside and inside the cabin. She kept her hands on him, feeling the faint rise and fall of his chest. It was then she remembered why she had done this, why she had risked her life, and why she had carried him all this way. Years ago, her son had fallen ill, and no doctor could save him. She had carried him up and down hills, across snow and mud to find help, and had watched him slip away despite her desperate effort. When Ash had been a pup, she had promised herself she would not fail again if she could help. Itash opened his eyes slowly, his golden gaze meeting hers, as if he understood everything. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "You are safe now." By morning, the storm had passed. The sun reflected off the snow, illuminating the mountain in a golden light. She had kept her promise. Villagers arrived with blankets, food, and medicine, but she declined to leave Ash behind. He slowly rose, unsteady on his legs, but alive. The bond between them had grown stronger than ever, stronger than fear, stronger than pain, stronger than death. She looked at him and smiled, knowing they had both survived. Because love had given her strength, the same love that had once driven her to save her. Son Ash nuzzled her cheek, and together they stepped outside into the calm winter morning. The mountains, silent witness to their journey, and triumph life continued in quiet harmony. The villagers still whispered about the woman who carried a 120-pound wolf down a mountain through a storm, but she never sought attention. She only cared that Ash lived, and that she had kept her promise to a life she had once vowed to protect. Every year after that winter, she would climb the mountain with him, once for exercise, once to remember, and once to honor the bond between them that nothing could break, not time, not age, not even death.